Hello everybody and welcome back to the Swiss Simpleton channel. Back here from the beautiful Swiss countryside. It is truly spring now. The air is filled with the noise of chirping birds, bumblebees, bees, butterflies are flying around. It is beautiful. I'm sitting here outside. As you can see, it is super sunny. And the video of today is the promised Q&A. I asked you in the last video if you had any question that I could answer in a upcoming Q&A video. So this is exactly what I'm going to do here. I've gotten a lot of very nice and very interesting questions, which I'm going to cover or try to cover in this video here. So without any further ado, I'm going to get started. I wrote the questions and some notes down here on my blog here, and I'm gonna go straight ahead. So the first question is, how do you manage to stay in this mindset of slow living with a society that is so rushed and performance oriented? I can apply this mindset when I'm alone or in nature or in the weekends, but I struggle much more at work or when I'm confronted with peers who are totally driven by this materialism and ego-driven society. I think that is a very, very good question, because probably everybody who wants to live a slower, maybe a little bit more reduced kind of lifestyle still is confronted by what is normal around them. And for most people, the normality of everyday life is high performance, is pressure, maybe stress, materialism, consumerism, in a fast-paced world. So of course, there are going to be some issues when you want to adapt a different kind of lifestyle. Now, what I do, which helps me, is first of all, create a distance from time to time. That can be, as an example, working more from home, so I don't have the direct contact with the peers that live this kind of lifestyle that I don't want, or to maybe slow down the day when I am in the office working, so I'm surrounded by every day all the people. I sometimes like take myself out of the working day by maybe taking a small break, going for a walk, and just reducing the pace in that way, and just getting out of that environment for a little time. To me, it is also perfectly fine to, from time to time, truly distance yourself if you are working somewhere where you feel like the people around you are too different, have two different views. To me, it is perfectly fine to sometimes spend a little time on myself, even if I'm at work. That doesn't mean that I am always like completely distancing myself from my work colleagues. That's not the case. But if I feel like I am a little rushed, it is sometimes a good thing to maybe, eat lunch on your own and enjoy the time that you have to maybe breathe a little and take it slow. Also, I think, like, if you're not talking about work but about your peers or the people that you have around you in general, it is important, as with everything in life, I think, to have good people with similar values, or that at least respect your values and your views and your boundaries that you've set. So you don't have to constantly fight against something and push back. That is very important. That only works if you truly know your values. If you know what you want, what you don't want, you can communicate those things. I think that is very important. And then in regards to that, if you are maybe confronted with somebody who has different opinions than you or a different value, or wants to live a different kind of lifestyle, that is perfectly fine. I mean, everybody can do what they want in the end, as long as they're happy, and your values don't have to match the values of other people. And if you can embrace that for yourself, I feel like that is the most important thing. It is absolutely okay to say no to certain things and not go along with everything else. So then the next question would be, how do you shift your mindset from your day job to your quieter life? Or what are your tips to unwind after a stressful day at work? I think everybody knows this. Maybe you had a stressful day, and after work you're still kind of in a rush. Your mind is still going at 300 miles an hour, and that can be challenging, and I experience that also from time to time. I think that's absolutely fine to experience that from time to time, and to not think that slow living has to be like the perfect way of living every day and it works every time. For me, what works is basic work hygiene, I would call it maybe. That means I don't have things like messaging apps, my email, etc. from work. I don't have that on my smartphone, so I am not reachable after I stopped working. When I stop working, I close my laptop, I clean out my desk, and that already helps me to put me in a more relaxed state, and where I can like end the working day and start the rest of the evening or the day. For me, it is also important to then not rush into the next task. I'm a person that likes to get stuff done. In the evenings too, I can sometimes be a little bit, I can overcram my spare time simply because I like to do things, but I have to keep myself in check there. And something that I like to do is after work, I like to take a couple of minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, to just sit down, maybe have something nice to drink. Maybe I can sit outside, enjoy the sun, and not immediately do something that stimulates me in a sense, like watching a video, checking the smartphone, or going to the next task. So having a little break after work, which is just a room to breathe, helps me a lot. Then I like to do it to take my mind off work, to really close that chapter. I like to do activities that take my mind off what was going on before. That could be usually things that involve mind and body. So exercise is great. Maybe cooking is good. For me, I have the luxury that I have a lot of nature around me. So if I'm truly stressed, going outside for a walk is something that is very, that puts my mind to ease. So that really helps. And if I am really stressed, if it was a super stressful day, a super hectic day, something that can help me too is to take a couple of minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, to stretch and meditate. I like to, we have a small workout room at home where I like to lay down a yoga mat, maybe light a couple of candles, something that smells nice, and then if I want, I can listen to some soothing music and stretch a little, or do a maybe guided meditation that really helps me as well. And if I feel like the stress level is high, I like to reduce the overall stimulus of the evening, meaning not consuming too much media, not having too much screen time, doing more offline than online activities to just let my mind decompress. I need that at least. All right. Then we're gonna continue with the question, what is my job? Like, what do I do to earn a living? I work in IT, That's how I make a living. I work in IT. The reason why I like to work in IT is usually you have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to working from home. That is usually widely accepted, and I feel like there are really great people in that space. I really like working with the people that I have around me. Yeah, so that is what I do. Now, what kind of music and artists do you listen to? Maybe if you have followed along a little bit on this channel, you maybe already know the answer to this question, but if you're newer here, personally I am a big fan of heavy metal. Pretty much anything goes, from power metal to, I don't know, black or death metal. I am pretty open and I like a lot of things. Bands that I would maybe like point out would be bands like Wolfheart, Behemoth, Before the Dawn, or Hammerfall. So if you are in that interested in that category, there are a few names for you. Also, I'm a big fan of like Nordic folk, I would call it. It's probably not the most accurate description of a music genre, but that's what I'm going with right now. So bands like Wardruna or artists like Katiran are also things that I really enjoy. I would probably say that Wardruna has had the most positive impact on my life from any artist, piece of art or music or whatever. It has had the most profound impact on my life in a positive manner, and I absolutely love it. When I am together with my wife, we usually, even though she has nothing against my other music tastes, but it is not the music that she would choose to listen to usually, we have like the common ground of country music. We both love country music, so that is always something that we can enjoy together. Then the next question would be, when and why did you start training Jiu-Jitsu? For maybe those of you who don't know, Jiu-Jitsu, or I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, is like a full contact martial art or full contact combat sport. It is basically submission based wrestling, submission grappling, and I started around 2 years ago probably. I had to now do quite a long break since I got my arm broken in a competition, but that is healed, or at least I hope so, very soon. For me, the reason why I started training Jiu-Jitsu is I really like a new challenge mentally and physically as well. I have always been, or I have been for a long time, active in doing other sports, mainly going to the gym, to be honest. And I found that to be a little dull after some time, after a couple of years. And then I wanted to try new things out. I tried a couple of different things, and Jiu-Jitsu was the thing that stuck with me. I really enjoyed it. In the beginning, to be honest, I was a little bit scared to try it, or even I didn't really know if I really liked it, because it was super uncomfortable. For somebody who has never done this, it can be really a strange feeling to wrestle another person and try to submit the other person, or not to get submitted. And to submit would be get your opponent to a point where if they don't tap or stop the fight, you would basically like break an arm, break a leg, or choke them unconscious. So it is all absolutely okay. So it sounds sometimes a little bit more gruesome than it is, but for somebody who has never experienced this kind of sport, for me at least, it was in the beginning a little bit scary, but I kind of learned to overcome it and love it in the end. I met some amazing people. I think Jiu-Jitsu has a very awesome community of good people, of people who are very open-minded, and at least that was the case for me. The people that I met were most of them were absolutely fantastic people. And it is a sport that really helps you take your mind off something, because you just cannot be at work in your mind and try to solve a problem of work if you are literally trying not to get choked. Your mind is completely in the now, in the present, because it is you want to win the battle in the end. So it is really good to take the mind off something and de-stress in the end. Now, next question would be, I'm wondering what kind of work you do to support yourself and how you have learned to fight the urge to upgrade certain items in your life. I'm still fighting this consumerism urge. Now, what I do for a living, I already covered, but the consumerism part is interesting. I think we all live in a super consumerism oriented environment in the end. Consumerism is everywhere. It is super accessible. It is cheap. It is easy. So I get it that it is something that can be challenging or that can be difficult. So personally, I don't struggle with that anymore. I would say I don't struggle with that. I don't really care about buying a lot of stuff. But I know that it once was different. So something that helped is not consuming consumerism-oriented media. I mean, the internet is filled with media of people who live a super consumerism-oriented lifestyle, who promote buying new stuff constantly, getting the newest gadgets, getting the newest whatever. And I simply stopped watching or following these people. That already helped a lot. Whatever you surround yourself with will influence you greatly, and the same goes with consumerism. Also, personally, I have a fixed budget for pretty much everything, including my, I would say, spending for whatever I would like, everyday stuff that I want to have for myself, so not like groceries or rent. But so that also really helps, because I know every month I have a budget of, as an example, 200 francs or dollars, and that already limits the amount of stuff that I can buy. And I am honest with myself. I don't overspend that budget that I set for myself. So that is something that I also like to work with. And I feel like if you are then truly passionate about something, you can then take these limits of fixed budget and add them up over time, and then still buy something that is maybe a little bit expensive. I don't think that you have to do this whole minimalism, no buy thing. You can do that if you are into that, but it's not a must. I don't do that. However, I am careful with what I spend my money on, and I think about if I truly want to spend my money on something, and then maybe I would rather save up and spend the money on something a little bit more valuable, but buy it once and not having to upgrade a couple of months later because I already have something of really great quality. Also, if you are a impulse buyer, I know that for me sometimes can be the case, pretty much for everybody, I think. the classic tip that really helps for me as well would be like waiting 1 or 2 days before buying it. If you still want it and it is within your budget, go ahead and buy it if it makes you happy, you know. It is okay. And in the end, I think if you really embrace this journey of slow living and simple living, I think it will come a little bit naturally to enjoy the more simple things in life and not really care about materialistic things. At least that has been the case for me. Also, maybe slight small addition: if you don't live in a big city with shops everywhere, that already helps a lot. I live in the countryside, the next shop that I could go and spend my money on, I would need to drive there or walk there for quite some time, and that already helps a lot. I know that you can buy stuff online, but if you are simply not surrounded physically by opportunities to spend your money all the time, that really helps as well. All right, next question. What do you do to stay motivated in what you want to achieve and not let old patterns of behavior dominate your life again? That is a very good question, and it is something that I don't succeed in always, to be honest. That is something that I struggle with, and I am sure anybody who is not naturally, or at least who hasn't lived this kind of way for a long time, probably will struggle with too. What I learned over the years is to really listen to my mind and body very carefully. My mind and my body will tell me very quickly if I'm not pushing in the right direction. And previously, I would simply ignore those signals, you know, and just push them away and just keep going. And nowadays, I exactly know those signals. I know when my body or my mind is telling me, hey, you're going at a pace that is too fast for you. And I listen to those and I act accordingly. I also remember how bad I had felt before making that shift, and I never want to feel that way again. That is a constant reminder of what I don't want, and that is kind of let's call it my why I want to live this way. And I remember it in a situation that maybe I feel myself drifting a little bit off the path that I want to pursue. Also, I think having good people around you that can keep you in check is very helpful. To me, that is my wife. She can pretty much tell whenever I go off in old patterns that do not suit me or that do not help me in the way that I want to live. And she lets me know. She doesn't force me or anything, but she simply lets me know, and then I can adjust myself, and those little inputs are always much appreciated. Then next question: which activities bring you back to a fast kind of lifestyle, a fast-paced life? So that, I think, goes a little hand in hand with the last question. That's why I put it here. For me, sometimes work can do that. There are like events at work that I have to participate in that maybe require me to stay a little bit longer, have maybe after work activities, even though I do limit them or try to limit them to a certain degree. Sometimes they still are there or are expected. So those are definitely things that that speed up my life. Meeting people for activities usually. Stuff like maybe going to a concert, going maybe hiking and stuff. That is also something that speeds up the time in a way, but it is not bad. It is not something negative. I think it is giving me more, or giving me something that I can work with, and it enriches my life. So I wouldn't say in this case that it is a bad thing. Also, as I already mentioned, I can be somebody with maybe quite long to-do list sometimes, simply because I want to do a lot of stuff. I am quite an energetic person by nature, so having so I sometimes cram my day a little bit too full. And by default, if I have a long to-do list, I can speed up a little bit my life. But it is usually I either monitor myself immediately, or I maybe take some time after the activity, maybe the stressful day at work, to decompress and then get back on track. I think for me it is important that I don't expect every day to be this perfect, slow living miracle. Because that would make me, that would be a source for unhappiness. It is not realistic. Realistic is that stressful days, fast-paced days do happen, and it is simply, what I'm trying to achieve is simply having a majority of slow days compared to the fast ones. But it's gonna happen that there are fast days once or twice, That is not a problem, but it is an important reminder that I have to keep telling myself it is absolutely okay. There is no perfection when it comes to slow living. All right, so next question. What types of books do you like to read? So usually I always have 2 books that I have by my side. I usually like to read historical fiction novels, usually based in the Middle Ages. So as an example, the Last Kingdom series was something that I really enjoyed, or the Kingsbridge series, also fantastic in my opinion. I really enjoy those, especially before going to bed. But I also just read topical books about things that interest me. I really like the books of Dr. Gabor Mate. I like the books of Sadhguru. I just read the book The Secret Life of Trees. So whatever topic is interesting to me, I will snatch up a book and enjoy that as well. So that can be very topical, but it also can be some historical fiction. What is something that you recently learned? Now that is a good question, and I really had to think a little bit about that. I don't think that is a question that I really ask myself a lot, but it is interesting. I just spent a couple of days with some relatives of mine and spoke a lot with them. We had some very interesting conversations, and that was something that was already present in my mind, but it kind of came back through these conversations a little bit more, was that life can be super short. They told a couple of stories, my relatives, of people that they knew who worked their whole life and then retired, and right after that pretty much they died, or just before retirement they died. And for me, as I'm still quite young, there was a very good reminder that at some point, this all here is going to come to an end. And personally, I don't want to wait until I'm retired to really live the life that I want to live. I want to at least try to achieve the kind of lifestyle that I would like to live in general much before that. I don't know yet how exactly I'm going to, or I can achieve that, or what it will look like, but I don't want to live in a way that I don't really enjoy, that I don't really want, that isn't truly myself, simply because I tell myself that I can put it off until I am 65. This thought is not yet completed or really finished or really polished, but it was something that I thought about in the last couple of days. Now comes a question that is quite a big question. Basically, this person that wrote this question has found happiness in what they do, in being a little bit introverted, in enjoying books, their art, and studying. And because of that, the person is asking how can a slow liver how can a person that is living a slow life, let's put it like that, get his love of his life? And how did you find the love of your life? I'm not sure if I'm truly qualified to answer this, to be honest. My now wife and I, we started dating when we were still teenagers, and got married last year. And so I'm not really an expert in this field of meeting people, going out there and really, going on this quest of finding the love of my life. It just kind of happened, to me at least. And I think, as another person pointed out in the comments, I think that is the way it goes. It will somehow fall into place when the time is right. I don't think that you can rush love. I don't think that there is a system to find the perfect partner for you. I don't think that there is, you cannot rush it. It will happen when the time is right. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy and corny, but I think that is truly the case. However, or in addition to that, I would say that in order to find the love of your life or find a partner in general, you have to meet people and go out there. But I would say in a way that is still comfortable, in a surrounding that is still comfortable. I don't think you have to go out partying and meeting people in a loud, noisy environment. As an example, you can meet people pretty much anywhere nowadays. There are groups, interest groups. I don't know. You could meet the perfect partner for you while training Jiu-Jitsu, as an example. That can absolutely happen, but you have to get into a group of people and meet them in order to increase the chances of finding the love of your life, But I don't think that you have to force yourself in a surrounding that isn't comfortable for you. and that you have to do anything that doesn't feel natural to you. Yeah, I think that for me, slow living doesn't mean isolation. I feel like sometimes when I read comments under my videos, and in general, some people have this perception that slow living is living in a cottage in the forest by yourself. You don't ever speak to another person, and you are completely isolated from everybody. That is not slow living. Doesn't, at least for me, doesn't mean isolation. Slow living means embracing a slower pace in life. You can still meet people, and you don't have to isolate yourself. You can go out there, you can meet amazing people. There are so many very interesting people that have similar ideas or a similar way of life that they want to live out there. There are plenty, how do you say, there are plenty of fish in the sea. I think it's important to have a genuine interest in people, because in the end that is how you determine if a person really fits what you are looking for. And learning probably to have a good conversation really helps you. Really helped me a lot. So this is by no means a perfect answer or a complete answer. These are like my 2 cents on this topic, and there are probably people that are a lot more qualified to speak about this than me. All right, so final question of the video. I see that this video is already quite long, but I wanted to take my time for every one of your beautiful questions. So, what are mental health benefits of adopting slow living, and what are the disadvantages of living in the countryside? So, mental health benefits, I can name the ones that at least apply for myself. I feel a lot less stressed. I have a lot less mental clutter, meaning I have better focus. I don't feel like I'm in a rush. I have a lot less anxiety. That is something that used to be a companion of mine, and is fortunately no longer the case. You learn to appreciate smaller, simpler things in life, or at least I did, and that helps with living in the now, being more present, and that is for me a recipe for happiness. In here, I think I would like to point out, because that is something that I see sometimes, is that slow living, in my opinion, it is not a hack, a life hack for happiness, or like a performance hack. Everybody is looking for a way to self-optimize. I don't think this way of life is something to self-optimize, and because that is the wrong way of approaching it, and a way that pretty much always leads to unhappiness. It just struck me when I wrote down this list that it is important to me to mention this lifestyle is a way of living, and it is not a hack to have less stress in your life and perform better at your job. Now, for the disadvantages of living in the countryside, I want to mention that the disadvantages that I wrote down here are not really disadvantages for me. I don't really have a problem with anything that I wrote down here, but to some people this would probably be a disadvantage or a problem. Yeah, which is probably the reason why a lot of people are living in the city and not in the countryside. So one thing would be proximity to friends and family. if you don't have your friends and family really nearby, which is more unlikely, I would say, yeah, you have to spend a little bit more time to go meet them. The same would be with proximity of work, stores, maybe a gym, stuff like that. So if you don't have a car, you are you are a little bit in a bad spot. There is less going on by default. There are not as many, you can't do as many things. You can't go out for a coffee, buy lunch and dinner, go partying, go to concerts, whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, there is less going on in the countryside. But as I said, that is a good thing for me. But if you like to have a lot of stuff going on, it's probably not the right thing for you. Also, like practical, two things. If you are somebody who suffers from allergies, like myself, here in the countryside, of course, you have a lot more plants, flowers, trees, everything that can make you a little bit more miserable during the spring, and you have a little bit more work in and around your house or your home, simply because there are a lot more insects, animals that are trying to get in your house, or maybe that already are in your house. You have dirt, maybe from a field nearby. There's just more work that you have to do to clean up and clear up, maybe from time to time, and that you have to do yourself, and you don't have somebody that cleans up the apartment complex like you maybe would have when you live in the city. So yeah, those are some points that I would maybe point out. For me, they are not really disadvantages, but to some people they might be. So this was quite a long video. I can see that we are approaching the 50-minute mark, so I don't know if you watched the whole thing. Perhaps you did. This was an interesting video to me. I was surprised on how many people actually wrote questions in the comments. Very interesting questions to which I can maybe share some more thoughts in an entire video, maybe going forward. At least I got a lot of food for thought for future video ideas. So thank you to everybody who asked a question in the last video. I also want to point out that, of course, we had 12 questions in this video. The answers are not complete. They are a simple list that I compiled of my thoughts, of my immediate thoughts. They are simply food for thought. Don't take everything that I say in these videos like it is the sole truth. Those are simply some thoughts and nothing more. You can do with them whatever you please. All right, so with that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're healthy, and I hope to see you very soon here in this beautiful Swiss countryside. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.